Alrighty, guys, as we gear up for Daredevil Born Again Season 2, let's talk about Daredevil Born Again Season 3, not to get ahead of ourselves, but we have some more details here, courtesy of one Mr. Wilson Bethel, who plays, of course, Benjamin Poindexter, aka Bullseye. Now, Bullseye was a character that I believe, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I believe was actually not a part of the original Daredevil Born Again Season 1 script. I think that this was a character that was added particularly in the rewrites and reshoots for the show. He only appears in episode 1, where he kills, spoiler alert, he kills Foggy Nelson, and then he reappears, I think, in episodes 8 and 9. So kind of clear that he was a character that was added very much later on in reshoots, at least from what I know. That being said, because obviously this was a character that really made an impression in Daredevil Season 3, the original Netflix show, this is a character that now looks like is going to be having a much bigger role now that Daredevil Born Again Season 2 is going to be much more streamlined and connected season, unlike the previous season, which was kind of cut up and mashed together based on different visions of the show. So Wilson Bethel was at a convention, and he gave a few interesting quotes about Bullseye in Season 2, but more interestingly, about Season 3. This is what he had to say. He says, quote, "There are whole new avenues, of Dex's interesting, messed up psyche that we get to explore, and I'm scrolling down here. And there's some really, really fun stuff that's on the way for Bullseye and for Dex." He says, "I think the coolest Bullseye fight sequence that we have yet to see in the show is part of Season 2. One that is, expletive, awesome." So that's talking about Season 2, which is great. It's great to hear that he's excited about Season 2. But then he gets on to talk about Season 3. This is what he has to say about Season 3. Quote, "As some of you might know, we've already got picked up for another new season that we will start doing next year. We'll have more Bullseye on the way, and Kingpin, and all the rest." So that's interesting, right? Because that is going to show that Bullseye is a character that is not going to be a one and done, or well, not one and done, but he's not going to be finished in Daredevil Born Again Season 2, but rather he's going to have some kind of role to play in Season 3, which I think, depends on where the character goes. I think there have been hints based on set photos and things like that he might even be an ally for Daredevil and for Karen Page at some point, which is a very interesting concept given the fact that he is the one who killed Foggy Nelson. So we'll see where that goes. But still, I think that it's an interesting arc to go with this character. And I also wonder too, right, as we're starting to build up towards whatever's going to happen in Season 2 and Season 3, I think that the Daredevil Kingpin story is at the center of most of what Daredevil does in these shows and in these stories. But one has to wonder, are there going to be different villains for Daredevil? Like, Kingpin might take a backseat at a certain point, like he did in Season 2, and then he came back in Season 3, but Bullseye was the main villain of Season 3, was one of the main villains of Season 3, as Kingpin made his return. So I'd be very curious, because Daredevil Born Again Season 1, Kingpin was very clearly still the villain, right? But will Daredevil Born Again start to explore other villains as well, and where does Bullseye fit into all that? I think that all that is very interesting, because Bullseye is such an interesting and, I would say, complex character in the sense that he's just unexpected. He's unpredictable. You don't know where this character is going to go. You don't know who he's going to ally with. You don't know what he's going to do. I mean, his fight scene at the beginning of Daredevil Born Again was crazy, and it was just pure chaos. And that is kind of what Bullseye represents, is pure chaos. So I'm very interested to see, as we head into Season 3, first of all, at the end of Season 2, what is the status quo? Is Kingpin still going to be the central antagonist for Daredevil stories moving forward? Not that I'm saying that it's uninteresting, right? I love the Kingpin Daredevil stuff that's going on here. But I also wonder, okay, when are we going to start to fold in other characters, and how are existing characters like Bullseye going to fit into that scheme as well? Very curious to see. But it's still good to see, still good to hear that Bullseye has a place in all the craziness that's going to be going on. Also, he mentions Kingpin, so Kingpin confirmed to be in Season 3, as if that wasn't obvious. I mean, unless they did something crazy and killed Kingpin at the end of Season 2. But I seriously doubt that. So those are some details on Season 3. Daredevil, Born Again Season 3, Bullseye and Kingpin will be back, and there will be a lot more hijinks to ensue from there. Guys, what do you make of these comments from Wilson Bethel? Let me know in the comments down below.